Hello Cinnamon Bun! I'm back! We're back with another journal video. I always want to say it's been a while. It's kind of a verbal take, I guess, of mine, but actually hasn't been that long because my last journal video took me so long to get out that hopefully it won't be too long before you see this one. Hi! How are you? How are we? I am doing a bit of a different tea for this setup, as you might have seen. This is actually a really nice tea that a student of mine sent me. Sarah Louise is one of my Story Magic Academy students, and she's a writer, and she also owns a witchy tea business. And so she sent me some samples of her teas, and they're lovely, and I'm having one today. This one is called Midnight Cauldron. I definitely like to dose up because I like my tea really strong, so I'm having like double the recommended amount. But yeah, it's really nice, and it's got glitter in it, which is just my jam. Anyway, hi, hello, how are we doing? I am doing much better than last time I spoke to you in one of these videos, thankfully. Yeah, I had a bit of a rough month in January. Like I said, if you watched that video, you will already know. I got sick, I got like maybe COVID, probably unconfirmed COVID, and then I was away for the weekend up north, which was good, but like busy and disruptive, and then I got a UTI, and then I went straight into my period. So not the most productive and fun of times, but I'm feeling a lot better now, and I'm really pumped to get into this month and start doing all the ideas that I've had that I've not been able to do anything with for like a month. So if you have watched any of my bullet journal videos before, you will know that I plan according to my cycle, not to the calendar month. I still pay attention to what day of the month that we're in, but like I start my month at the start of my cycle and stuff, just because it's a lot more relevant to what my body's doing, and it's really helpful. You know what's freaky though? This is the first month I've ever noticed this happening since I've been tracking and thinking about this stuff. The calendar month and my cycle and the moon are all synced up this month. It's bonkers, like, because those three things have like their own kind of structures, but most of the time they don't sync up. But I'm starting my cycle at the start of February, and it's also at the dark moon. So halfway through the month, I'm going to be like at peak energy. I'm going to be like ovulating around the full moon, and I'm going to vibrate directly through my ceiling or something. I don't know. It's going to be interesting. Yeah, so that's a little bit freaky. It's a bit weird, but it makes it very handy for setting up this journal because it means this cycle is probably just going to cover February, and it's not split over 2 months. So that's fun. Anyway, that leads me to one of the things that I have been up to recently, which is I've fallen into another of my rabbit holes obsessing about, I guess, almanacs? Like this like cycle stuff. So like I obviously plan by my menstrual cycle because my energy changes according to that, but I'm just interested in cycles generally. I've always been interested in the Wheel of the Year, like, and that's one of the first things that got me interested in witchcraft and stuff. I'm interested in like circadian rhythms and daily routines and like the creative cycle, and you know, the plot embryo is kind of a storytelling cycle. So I'm just obsessed with cycles, as you've probably gathered. But every so often I get it into my head that I'm going to do this elaborate, personalized Wheel of the Year. And when I start that process, I tend to hyper-focus. And that's what I've been doing recently. I've been working on a kind of personalized Wheel of the Year or Wheel of the Seasons, like a kind of perpetual calendar for myself for the year, because I like to celebrate the seasons, but I don't really adhere to like the traditional kind of Wiccan style wheel of the year and stuff. So that's been fun and also a bit of a distraction. And it's been really cool because I have an iPad now, finally, after years of using a very outmoded like graphics tablet. I've got Procreate, and so I can do a lot more like graphicsy, illustration-y, drawing-y, design stuff that I couldn't really do before. So that's been really fun to experiment with. I may end up sharing these like cycle diagram clock perpetual calendar things that I've been working on at some point, but they're not ready yet. So yeah, that's one thing that I have been obsessed with though, is kind of setting up my own like little personal almanacs, like with an overview, a kind of diagram, like calendar, perpetual calendar version, like I say, like as an illustration project kind of, but then also in Notion in more detail, like having like different linked pages for the different phases or seasons of my menstrual cycle or of the year, and like what are the kind of pros and cons, what are the things to take advantage of in that phase, what are the challenges of that phase or that season. And yeah, I've just been diving into that in a slightly obsessive manner. So that's kind of, related to, but not exactly the same thing as, I've just been really focused on like cyclical routines and cyclical rituals recently. And I mean, this is something I talk about quite a lot, I feel like, but yeah, I don't know. I'm a big proponent of routines, and by routines, I don't mean like, creating big lists of things for yourself that you tell yourself then that you have to do that are, unsustainable or like aspirational. I just mean like taking everyday things I already need to do and breaking them down into their individual steps and creating like a little procedure for myself. So that if and when I'm going to do that thing, I have all the steps laid out and I don't need to think about that. I can just follow that kind of little step by step. I have been doing that and kind of like, doing that for lots of different little things in my life for quite a while now. And I've built up a kind of like bank of them. And it's just been super fucking helpful. Like, and it kind of, and some of that is cyclical as well. Like, so I feel like I've really nailed, like I've got my monthly planning routine, which you're seeing right now. I've got a monthly like wrap up routine where I kind of review and see how I did that month and like what plans actually happened. I've got a little weekly planning routine. I have like a morning and a night routine, and it's not that these things happen every time without fail, but they just create these really helpful little checkpoints that I can use to help me just get through life. And so I've been thinking about that a lot as well, and I think that stuff like has really been, I've been building on it for so long over time that it feels like it's really, really working, and it's so helpful, and it's just really nice. The way I think about building stuff like that, like structures for yourself, cyclical routines, obviously I've said this many times, I work for myself, I create my own schedule, I have very little stuff in my calendar that is really fixed time-wise, so I need to create a bunch of structure for myself. Obviously that's not the case for everyone. If you have a job, you have a family, you have responsibilities that like dictate a lot of how your time is organized. But for me, I need a lot of structure, and the way that I've found to actually build that up is like, you can't create an entire like ecosystem for yourself in one night. And I think it's, I'm the kind of person that will try to do that and then be like, this is overwhelming. But what I've found with cyclical routines is starting micro and building up to macro over time. So I started with, I need a fucking morning routine because I can't keep lying in bed for hours wondering where to start my day. And obviously that's executive dysfunction, but so I needed a way around that, and so I started thinking about that, and I started implementing things, and I changed it over and refined it over time, and I found things that didn't work and things that did work. And then once I felt like I had a handle on like my day, had my morning and night routines, even if I wasn't using them all the time, I knew the things that I wanted to be doing to take care of myself and take care of my basic needs on a daily basis. Once I'd been running that for a while, like things felt more manageable to the point where I could think about a weekly routine or a monthly routine and then start refining that. And now I'm at the point where I've got my monthly routine down, so I'm like, holy shit, I can think about the season. I can think about the year now because I have enough structure in place that I understand those concepts of time in a better way. And I just like, I understand more like how much I can fit into those times. Whereas if I'd tried to start with just like trying to plan a year or like, create routines or rituals for myself in a year when I don't know what the fuck what's in a day, that doesn't really work. So I don't know if you struggle with structure or routines or like taking care of, your core needs and stuff, and you want to implement routines and stuff or habits, that is what I would recommend. Try and start micro. Start with like the morning, the day, and try that for a while, refine it for a while, and then like it's almost like or at least for me, like my brain kind of opened up and was able to like process the idea of larger chunks of time. That's a siren. So yeah, that's one kind of area that's been on my mind a lot recently. Something else that's been on my mind a lot recently is something that I've been meaning to talk about on my channel for a long, long time, and I just never have gotten around to it. Also, I don't know if you can, I really hope that you can't hear it, but one of my smoke alarms is beeping again. It's a different alarm, and I'm trying to get it fixed, but oh god, we're going to be back in that phase again. Do you remember that? You remember that phase where my smoke alarm, every video I had to apologise for it? My ceilings are 15 feet high, I can't reach them, there's no ladders, it's hopefully going to be fixed tomorrow. Anyway, yeah, so the other thing that I've been thinking about recently is I am not working on a novel, and I haven't been for a while, and I haven't really spoken about why that is in much detail or at all, I think, on my channel. I think I definitely have on Patreon, like in our Clubhouse sessions at points, but it's something that I've been meaning to get around to because I've made quite a big shift actually in the last year or two. Yeah, I have shifted what I'm working on and kind of how I think of myself identity wise as a creative, and yeah, I'm not working on a novel right now, and I don't have any plans to start another one. And I'm gonna get into that in my next video. This is not, so I usually don't talk about what my next video is gonna be because I don't want to like jinx it. But I do want to say that like, if that's something that you've been wondering is like, hey, why did your channel used to be all about writing and fiction writing and novels, and now it's not? Like, what happened to that? What changed? What are you working on now? If that is something that you've been wondering about, I'm going to be making a big old video kind of going through that, and talking about, you know, this big creative shift that I've made, and just what that means for my work going forward, and what I've learned about myself and the creative process along the way. So if that's of interest to you, just keep an eye out for that, basically, because I think it is going to be the next video. And yeah, it's something, like I say, I've been meaning to get to for a long time, but it's finally going to happen. What else has been going on? Slowly but surely, I have been dealing with areas of my house that have been annoying me for months, if not years. So that's been really nice. It's still kind of slow. I don't know. I guess a little context, like, I moved into the flat that I'm currently in after my last breakup in like the start of February 2020, and I did put a big effort into like organizing and decorating when I first got there, but obviously I was going through some shit, and then the pandemic hit and stuff, and then I was stuck in here, imprisoned in this flat for a long time. I was working from home and stuff, and you know, I work for myself, and I think it kind of changed my relationship with my house, because I eventually just got so sick of being here. I just lost all will to kind of like improve it or finish projects or declutter places. Like, you know, I've refined my routines and systems to the point where I'm quite good now at like maintaining the basics on a regular basis. Like, I clear the dishes, I do my laundry, I clear like my coffee table and my desk, which are the two main surfaces. I make my bed in the morning, but like, I don't really do deep cleaning. I haven't in a long time. And there's all these little, you know, like corners where junk or just like unorganized things like pile up, and I haven't been dealing with them. And every time I see them, I think, oh my God, I should really deal with that, and it pisses me off. But I just haven't had it in me, haven't had the executive function, haven't had the will or the motivation or the time, space, energy. I don't know, whatever excuse I want to make, I haven't been able to get to it. But I have slowly been starting to chip away at those things, and it's been really nice. And I think one of the things that's helped with that is something going back to like an idea or a kind of spiritual idea that I got really invested in a few years ago when I was really into like hearth and home based magic and witchcraft, which is animism. You know, like thinking of my house as having a spirit, as being a being in some way that I have a relationship with, instead of it just being a box that I live in. And like thinking of it as a relationship that's not just about like, so taking care of the house isn't just something that I do for myself, because often that's not sufficient to actually motivate me to do it, but thinking of it as like, no, this is like, it has a spirit, it has like a being that I want to have a good relationship with, and I don't want to treat that spirit like shit. And so I have like a kind of personified, like, I guess like house spirit that I work with. I haven't really worked with in a long time, but I've started working with again and doing little rituals, and just whenever I am like about to do a bit of a house routine or some housework or something, I'll light a candle and kind of dedicate that session to them, or even like pull a card and be like, hey, what should I work on, or how are you feeling, like what area do you feel like is most important, and also just kind of, as cheesy as it sounds, like apologizing to it and being like, hey, so I know that I haven't treated you the best in the last year, to be honest, and I'm sorry, but I want this to be a nice place for both of us, and so I'm going to be making more of an effort to prioritize like sorting out all of those things that have just been neglected for quite a while, which like obviously is just kind of a symbolic gesture, and like I don't think you need to necessarily believe in it literally to still get something out of that idea of like, what if you think of this as a relationship instead of a to-do list? And I think like starting off with a little ritual like that has actually helped. Like I feel more motivated to do things, and like I've cleaned out and organized like the like locker in my hallway that holds all my like going out stuff and my wallet and keys and all of that, and every time I open it now I'm just like, oh, like organized, nice, after months and months and months of every time I opened it being like, oh Jesus, that needs sorted out. So yeah, there's still a lot of things to deal with, but it's felt really nice to just at least get things moving again on that front. I mean, is there still a bowl under my sofa with a dead spider underneath it that's been there for months? Yes, but we'll get to that. Okay, so this is my final spread for late winter, February. This is where I will write my intention and focus of the month. I already know what it is, but I just like to keep that private, so I will write it in after I've done this video. And this will be my record of the month. I'll fill that in each morning for the previous day, what I did, just in a couple of words. My lunar list, so my cyclical kind of body self-care stuff, and then my projects and tasks for this cycle. I actually divided this one into like my main, like this is the stuff I need to get done this month, and that's quite chunky, so I have divided it, and then this stuff is like bonus side quests, like if I get this stuff done, then here are some things that I can do to keep me busy, that I can get to, but if I don't get to these, that's totally fine. And that's it, and then I will just be starting my next daily here. I also decided, I already pulled my cards for the month. Instead of tarot, I decided to pull Lenormand. This is a golden thread Lenormand, and they work, the way that you read them is slightly different, so you can't really pull just one card, you read them like as a pair, or in pairs. So this would be the subject and this would be the modifier. So I got the stork and the birds, which is very in line with and helped me clarify what my creative kind of work projects and stuff are going to be for this month. Yeah, very bird themed. Okay, that's it. Now we're in the phase of the video where I try to remember all of the things that I wanted to tell you and let you know before we go. If you're interested in my planning system and what all this stuff means in this video, I have two places to send you. The first video I did of this cyclical planning process, I think it was late autumn. It's the one that has cyclical routines on the thumbnail. I will link that down below if you want the step-by-step of what I'm actually doing instead of me rehashing this every single video. If you're interested in my weird little symbols and my constellation system, which is how I divide my life into 6 different domains with unnecessary Latin names, I have an hour-long chat about that on my Patreon, which you can join for $2 a month. It was a monthly live stream that we did. All the recordings are there, and if you join, you also get access to all the future live streams. And then the other thing that I want to tell you is that the Story Toolkit workshop is reopening soon. This is a free workshop that I offer twice a year. It's a workflow and system to capture, organize, and write your ideas using 4 tools: the journal, the plot stack, the workbook, and the manuscript. It's a kind of modified bullet journal system, so if you're into that, then it might be up your street. It's slanted towards writing and storytelling and fiction, but there is a lot that you can apply to other creative mediums too, so don't feel like you can't join if you're not a fiction writer. And if you've already done the workshop, but your personal system could use a tune-up, join us again to refresh and check in on how your workflow is doing. It's nice to kind of have an opportunity to be do I need to prune anything here? Yeah, and the last thing I will say about it is, actually, I wanted to share what a couple of folks have said about how it's worked for them. Liz said, "I am beyond excited. I've never been able to take my novel idea that I've been working on since 2012 and turn it into a full plot. But I've used the system and suddenly I have a plot and 19 planned scenes. I can actually see a way forward and I am bouncing out of my seat. This system is everything my poor ADHD brain needed to manage the huge task of writing a book. I've made more progress this week than in the last 8 years. I'm so excited to tell all my friends about it." Just great. Just the reason that I make this kind of shit is hearing stuff like that. Thank you, Liz. From Odder P, "The Story Toolkit has low-key changed my life. Lol. Mentally, everything just fits better." And then from Taylor, "Since setting up a toolkit and starting to use the writing logs, I have been so thrilled by how quickly I'm making progress on my works in progress. Things feel so clarified and good. It's amazing." So, if that sounds up your street, go to rachelstephen.com/toolkit. And we're going to be opening that again soon. Okay, that's everything. I hope you enjoyed the video. Take care of yourself, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.